Welcome back to Cynthia Untamed. This is your youthful and educational platform where we have conversations with and about children and youth in Africa. If you are new here, thank you so much for finding this community of young change makers across the continent. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you so much for being a part of this platform, and I would really urge you to tell a friend to tell a friend. Congratulations on getting this far. If you are watching this, I do hope that you are nearly doing the bar exam in Kenya. The last couple of episodes have really been focusing on enabling students at the Kenya School of Law to know that they can thrive, to know that they can excel. I am sharing what helped me to go through the process, and I really hope that these tips will enable another student to excel, because it is very doable. So if you are watching this, hopefully you are nearly doing the bar exam, because today's episode is going to focus on what you need to do a month before the bar exam. So stay tuned. The last tip I left you with in the other episodes was why it's important for you to recreate the exam scenario for yourself. I told you that if you recreate the bar exam scenario for yourself, you're able to predict what is it that might trouble you or might enable you to excel when you are doing the actual papers. So I hope that as you are watching this, you've already done a mock exam for yourself. You know, the way in high school we used to do mock and pre-mocks. I hope that you have done a mock exam for yourself, and I hope that at this particular point you now know how it feels. If you have not done that, I really encourage you to take that step so that you also deal with your fears right now. When you're going to do the real exam, you will not have time to deal with your fears. So now deal with the fears right now. Now, on the assumption that you have now done the mock exam for yourself, what is it you now need to do? The first thing you need to do is now analyze and ask yourself, in my mock exam, where is it that I did perform the best, and where is it that I really need to work harder? Whatever it is that you scored during your mock exam is probably what you might score or not. Highly likely that it will not be the exam mark that you will score, because by then you will have now perfected your weak areas and you will now perform better. So just because you had 20 out of 60 does not mean you'll get 20 out of 60. If you had 20 out of 60, there's a probability that that mark can go up to 40. And with a 40 plus the farm work plus the oral exams, you will definitely excel. So you've looked at your results. You are now analyzing, where is it that I am weak? Now, once you've analyzed that, you need a new timetable. Remember, the entire time I've been talking about why it's important to have a timetable. Create a timetable. A timetable helps you to manage your time. So now in this 1 month, you need to create another timetable that's specifically suited for these 4 weeks. So how you do it is you schedule your time now not according to the 9 units, but according to where you need to pay more emphasis on. So for example, if the unit you performed best in, highly likely that it will be trial advocacy, because I think trial advocacy is the most doable and the most tricky unit in this entire course. That's another story. But let's say trial advocacy is where you did the best. And where you really need to put a lot more work is one of the 4 C's, because the 4 C's tend to be more challenging. So then now schedule your time. Put more time to that weak area and less time to that area where you think you are really strong. Because now it helps you to balance. It helps you to treat the units fairly. You're treating them according to how they're treating you. See? So make sure you do that. So you've now scheduled your timetable according to how you performed in the mock exam. Now look at each unit and now divide your time again In that entire course, that entire unit, what is the topic you are struggling with the most? If it's civil litigation and you're struggling with drafting, then you put more emphasis on drafting. If it's something else, whatever it is you'll have identified, put more emphasis on that particular topic and make sure you master it. So you divided your units according to the number of days you have. Maybe you have 30 days left. Now you divide those days further according to the topics. So you tell yourself, I have 2 days to study criminal litigation. What are the specific topics I need to master within these 2 days? Now that way it helps you to have a more kind of a guided approach and guided and more effective use of your time. And please do not ignore any unit. Just because I said pay more emphasis to the weaker ones does not mean you forget the stronger units, because one of the tricky things about this bar exam is that sometimes you pass the ones that are hard, then you don't do well in the ones that are easier, you see. So don't ignore any unit. So make sure even as you divide your time, you do not leave any unit unattended to. So for example, in that week, you're studying 3 days of the week, you are doing the 4 C's. Make sure at least one of the other days left during the week is left for the other units. Don't ignore any unit. Treat each unit with dignity. I'm telling you, and I'm saying this with the seriousness that it deserves. I hope I sound serious enough. Respect every unit. Respect every, you see, even that unit, that trial advocacy that you think is very easy, respect it. Respect it, because it's also a technical unit. Like it's doable, but it's technical. You see, like how do you argue a case? How would you be effective as an advocate? You see, those are things that you really need to be a critical thinker. Like you have the answers, but you also need to be a critical thinker. I hope you're getting what I'm saying. So treat each unit with a lot of dignity, with a lot of respect, even as you have 1 month to the bar exam. All right, so you've divided your time, you've divided your days. You keep doing that. Go back to the past papers. Take the past papers again. If you have finished reviewing them, well and good for you. Go back to the past papers. Take them, go through them, each of them. But I'd say that at this particular point, be more focused on the patterns. Ask yourself, what is that one topic that you'll never miss in an exam? So for example, legal practice management, there's always going to be an accounting question, you see? So make sure you have a bit of understanding in accounting. There's always going to be that question. Sometimes it's 20 marks, sometimes it's 10 marks. It will depend on your exam. So master bits of it. Master bits of it. Master a big chunk of it, even better. The other thing I would like to emphasize is the importance of mastering the statutes, but as well as the case laws, especially at this particular point. There are units like probate and administration that will always ask you for case laws. So make sure you know the major cases in every topic. Please, if you can, please try, and I don't know whether you're going to cram. How are you going to do this? Just try and get the key concepts of each case law in probate and administration. If it's possible, you can use Musyoka's book. I have shared the books I was using here before, so check out that video and you'll know what books you need to use. You can use Musyoka's book to master the major case laws. I'm very sure as the lecturers teach, they will also share the relevant case laws. They're also outlined in your course outline. So make sure you master at least 2-3 case laws for each concept. Probate and administration, from my experience, is the one that takes up the biggest chunk of the case laws that you need to remember. So make sure you remember those things. Please make sure you remember the cases. Now, the other thing I'd also like to mention is drafting. There's always going to be a drafting question in all papers. Some will have more, some will have fewer. I don't remember trial advocacy having a drafting question in the exam. Yeah, there was no drafting question in our exam, but let me say all the units will have a drafting question, only that some units will have more drafting questions compared to others, especially the procedure ones like criminal litigation and criminal and civil litigation will definitely have drafting. So what I would like to tell you a month before the bar exam is to have a basic understanding of the outline of each document you are required to draft. And they are many. They are so many. Some of this you're just going to have to learn during pupillage. But please remember the basic ones like a plaint. Those ones, please don't forget. Don't forget. Don't forget. But I'd also like to emphasize that it is not enough to know how to draft. It is very important to know what to draft. Because I remember I was really struggling with this thing of, oh, but I can't draft. I've never been in a law firm. Oh my God, I'm done. And then someone who had passed the bar exam told me, yes, you need to know how to draft. That one, you're not escaping. However, you need to know the content even more. You see, because you might know how to draft a demand letter. Like, you know, there's a title, there's a header, there's a subject line, there's a signature. And then you don't have content for the demand letter. You don't know how to phrase the demand letter. Because, for example, in legal writing and drafting, they'll give you a case scenario. You've probably seen this in the framework. They give you a case scenario and then they tell you, draft a demand letter. So you see, if you don't know the laws, if you don't know the approach, if you don't know what to say, it does not matter that you know the structure of a demand letter. It's more important to have the content. You know the structure of a plaint, you know what you need to put, you know those things. But it is even more important to know how to write. How do you feel that structure with content? With content. So I'd really just like to emphasize that even as you're thinking about drafting, also pay attention to the content of that document. Have content. Content, content, content. How do you say it? You know the basic structure, but how do you say it? Because the challenge people have is that you know how a plaint looks like, you know how a demand letter looks like, you go to the exam and then you realize, oh my God, I don't know what to write. But I knew the structure. Why is it that I can't write it? It's because you really focused on the structure, but you didn't focus on on the content. Substance is key when it comes to drafting. Don't just focus on the outline. I know people will tell you, make sure you know how a plaint looks like, but they really forget to tell you, make sure you know the content of a plaint. You see, so take your book and just go through what is contained in a plaint, A, B, C, D, that. Ask yourself, how do I write it? How do I phrase it? The best part about the bar exam is that you do not need to use jargon. The truth is that for me, I really struggled with jargon. For a long time, I was like, oh my God, what are these people saying? But I think it also helped me because in the bar exam, they need you to be as simple as possible, especially when it comes to unit like legal writing and drafting. Write the English that you learned in primary school and high school. All the jargon you learned at the university, forget it when you're doing the bar exam, especially legal writing and drafting. So don't worry so much about saying soon thereafter and very many legal terms. Focus more on content. Focus on showing the examiner that you understand the law. And lastly, you are now a month away from the bar exam. Please avoid getting distracted. Avoid getting distracted. Distractions will come in many ways. It will be in the form of rumor mongering. People will say there is leakage. Personally, I did not see any leakage. There was no day I ever saw an exam before I actually wrote the actual exam. It's not going to happen. If you depend on leakage, I am so sorry. You're not going to get the leakage anywhere. Like, you're not going to get the leakage. There's no leakage. So avoid such distractions. Avoid getting stressed. Avoid getting tired. Avoid things that will definitely just make you distracted. Because the thing is, once you're distracted, by the time you gain the momentum you had, let me just tell you, this 1 month, just focus. focus on the bar exam. Personally, for me, what I did, I am very active online. When it comes to the work I do with education advocacy, that is my space. But I took a break from social media. I took a break from Instagram. I took a break from Twitter. I took a break from Facebook, from LinkedIn. I just took a break to avoid getting distracted. Because there you hold your phone and like, let me just scroll this one TikTok video. And then you spend the entire night on TikTok. So I actually uninstalled TikTok just to stay fully engaged in the moment. That's what I'm trying to tell you. But also, even as I say, avoid getting distracted. Please get some rest. Sleep enough. Eat enough. If you need to exercise, breathe. Those things are so important for your brain, let me tell you. 1 month the bar exam, that time runs very, very fast. But please also just pray. Pray for the grace to do the bar exam, because you need grace, a lot of it. You need a lot of grace. It is during this 1 month the bar exam that you can easily defer the exam. You can easily have conversations with other people about deferring the bar exam. Then you will defer the bar exam and then they won't defer. You see, it is during this time, unless it is circumstances beyond your control. I really encourage you to just study all the units. Do not defer any exam. And let me tell you why. Because when you do I know they say there's a lot of confidence with doing the bar exam with your entire cohort, but I don't think it's also that. It just also helps you to use the knowledge you've gained at that particular point. Because you can imagine, if your exam is in April and you decide to do the exam in October and your last class was in March, can you imagine you're going to spend your entire time between March and October trying to remember what you were taught last year in May during term 1? You see how frustrating it can be. I know some people will say, oh, let me get some law firm experience before I do the bar exam. That is what I also felt. I was like, I've never worked in a law firm. I'm really going to struggle during the bar exam. And one of my friends was telling me there are so many people who've never worked in a law firm, but they still had confidence to do the bar exam. So 1 month the bar exam, do not defer. Do not overcome that temptation. You see that temptation of not doing the bar exam, like just leaving one paper? Don't do that. Make sure you focus, and put it in your mind that you will do all the 9 papers from day 1 to the last day. When the results come out, you will now cross that bridge when you get there. Do not determine that you will fail before you actually go to the exam. Go with the mindset that you're going to pass all the 9 papers. And that is it for our episode today on how you basically manage your life a month to the bar exam. I really do wish you all the best. Please know that this is doable. Know that this is possible. You are capable. You have come this far. You can do it. You can do it. You can do it. Be your biggest cheerleader. I am rooting for you. I know you can do this. You're almost there. Just believe in yourself. Have faith. Have hope. Work hard. Study. Just keep moving. You're almost there. You have come this far. Congratulations. Please, I know I've told you to not get distracted, but please follow me on Instagram at CynthiaOprah_Nyongesa, on Twitter at Cynthia_Oprah, on LinkedIn Cynthia Nyongesa, and check out my digital platform CynthiaUntamed.com. And I will see you in the next episode. Bye.